Hi there, thank you for watching this video. So today is the 11th of September 2024. So in this video I'll be continuing the development of the Pi game that I started at the tail end of the previous video on Python. So this is developed in the Python using the Kivy library. So with the Kivy library we can actually develop apps that, using the Pi installer that will run as exe files in Windows and also on Linux and also on Mac OS. And also if we use the bulldozer, we can create the actual binary to run on the Android in the smartphones as well. So I think this is the reason why it's so amazing developing in Python Kivy, because it's so truly a multi-platform. So what we'll do is that we'll just continue from where we left off in the previous video. So this is the file that we were working on, cupgame.py, this one here. So if I were to run this now inside this Vim or Vi editor and do an exclamation mark and then type in Python and then type in the name of the files, which is cupgame.py. And so what we have now is that we just have the basic layout of the game. We've got the three buttons that the player needs to guess where the ball is in which cup, and then we have the label where we can display the message such as the score or whether it was a success or a failure in guessing which cup contained the ball. So we're ready to continue developing in Python Kivy. So in order to stop this app, I can just click on the X on the top right corner, or I can enter Control-C inside the terminal. But I'll just click on this X and I'll just continue editing inside the Vi editor or the Vim editor. So first of all, I'll just explain what this code does inside this file. It's just a very basic, at the moment, 40-line source code, and the actual starting point for this program starts at the very bottom here at line 39, where it says if name equals, and then in the double quotes main, and then class 1 brackets dot run brackets. So this is the main starting point for this program here. And what the if name equals main says on line 39 over here is that if this is not a main, then if it's for example, if it's called from another module as the main and run as a module, then it doesn't do anything. It only runs if this is run as the main, which is the main module in this program, which it is. So because this is, and the way we run it as main is that we run it we run this file, which is cupgame.py, at the command line prompt with Python. So we type in Python space cupgame.py, and that is the actual file that is the main. So if this is the main, then run class 1 brackets dot run brackets. And so class 1 is this class here, this entire section from line 20 to line 34. So what this does is that the main thing that we need to look at is this function here, which is dev build self and then return widget. And then widget is this separate class here, which is class widget 1 here, and this doesn't do anything. This pass here just indicates that it doesn't do anything. And the reason why it doesn't do anything is that it looks at the file which is called class 1. So the class is called class 1, and if we look at the file which is called class 1 and .kv, so this is the file that is written in the Kivy language, which sets the actual layout for the appearance of the screen. So first of all, we have the label at the top and then the three buttons at the bottom. So for example, if we were to run the actual Python cupgame.py again, like that. So this shows us the label at the top and three buttons at the bottom. And here we have the label at the top and three buttons at the bottom. And this is called widget 1, and this is how we know that this entire layout written in the Kivy language corresponds to the widget inside the source code. So if we go back inside cupgame.py, so this is called widget 1. So this is what the actual is referenced inside that class1.kv file. But I think that is rather, at the moment, rather complicated. I think The thing I find slightly inconvenient about this way of doing things is that because we have the actual Kivy code in a separate file, in the .kv file, then I find it slightly inconvenient having to switch between the files all the time. So I think what I'll do is that instead of using the Kivy language for the design of the layout of the app, I'll just do everything inside Python, because we can program it inside the Python language, or we can program the layout inside the Kivy language. I think what I'll do in this example is that I'll just do it purely inside Python. So what I'll do is that I'll just go ahead and start destroying this app, and then we'll start rebuilding it from within Python. So I just remove this class1.kv like that. So if we now run this program again, python cupgame.py, it just displays a blank screen. So that is great. So we can start afresh now and start designing the layout using purely Python, calling the Kivy libraries rather than using the Kivy code. So I just go back inside that file and start designing the layout of this app, of this cup game app. So to begin with, I think to make things simple, I think we just do everything in the same class. So rather than having this widget class separately like that, I'll just delete that class like that, and we don't need to worry about the hello world now. So I'll just delete the string one, which is the global string like that, and then as regards the other functions that we don't need, I'll just delete everything else as well, because we'll just start from scratch basically, just down to the very bare bones of the Kivy project like that. So this is like a very bare bones kind of structure. So at the bottom we have the starting point here, which is class 1 brackets dot run brackets. So if this is called as the main module, which it is because we run Python space cupgame.py, so this file is the main module, then if it is, then run class 1 dot run, and so this calls class 1, and this calls the function, which is like the constructor for this class here. It builds itself, and then currently over here it says return the widget1 class, but this widget1 class doesn't exist. So what we need to do now is that we need to replace this with something that does exist, which is the root of the this layout of this class. So we say self.root like that. And so now if we just run this like that, and so there it is. So it just displays a blank screen as before. So now we can start adding the components inside this game, such as the buttons, the label, and the images. So what we'll have in this game is that we'll have 3 buttons, and then we'll have the 3 images, and then we have the actual text that will display the score and the result of whether the player selected the correct cup with the ball or not. And so in order to add the buttons, first of all, we just create the button objects. So this is button 1, and this uses the Kivy button object, and then we can set the properties inside this button object. So we can say that as regards the text display, this is the cup 1, like that. And as regards the size hint, so what it is that depending on what layout we're using, then the components of that layout could automatically try to stretch itself to actually fill up the space, like a docking window. So we don't want that to happen, because I think if it tries to do that, then we lose control of the sizing for each of the components. So I'll say that as regards the size hint, we want it to be none for the x-axis and the y-axis. So that's just what size underscore hint equals brackets none means. It means we don't want any kind of stretching or sizing to fill the actual spacing. And as regards the position, we'll start at position 0, 0 for the first button. And so with regards Python, rather than starting on the top left that we do inside CSS as the origin, we start from the bottom left. So when it says 0, 0, this is the bottom left. So the buttons start from the bottom left. And as regards the size of the buttons, it will be, let's say, 100 pixels by 50 pixels. So that's the first button. And then we did it for the buttons 2 and 3 as well. So if the ball is in cup 2, or if the player thinks the ball is in cup 2, then they will click on the cup 2 button. And similarly for cup 3. And once again, we want the size hint to be none, none. As regards the position of button 2, because button 1 is 100 pixels wide, then we want this to start 100 pixels to the right, like that. But we still want it to be at the very bottom, which is 0. And as regards button 3, this starts at 200 pixels to the right. And as regards the position of the Y, the height, it needs to start at the very bottom, which is 0. And the size is the same as button 1 for buttons 2 and 3. So now if we just save this and just run it again like this. So now it says that we need to import the button widget. So for this we need to import from the Kivy library once again. And for this, for the button widget, we need to import from Kivy.uix and then button, and then import button with the capital B, like that. Okay, so it's still showing as a blank screen because we need to add it to the layout. So the layout we're using is the float layout. And so for this, we need to once again import the library for the float layout. Like that. And then we need to just assign it to the root. And then once we've done that, we just need to add the buttons to the root, to the float layout. So it's root.add widget. And then button 1, and then button 2, and button 3. So we just save this, and we run the Python cupgame.py, and it's showing a blank screen. So if I just close that, and I think it needs to be a root rather than self.root like that, and save it again and run it again, and there it is. So those are the 3 buttons for the 3 cups. So I now need to add the images for the 3 cups and the ball. And so because I need to reference the actual images and the labels from outside the actual build function, what I can do is I can create the images as class level widgets that I can refer to from other methods within that class. So I'll do that. So for that, first of all, I need to import the image widget, which is once again from the Kivy UIX library, which is kivy.uix.image, and then I'll need to import image with a capital I. And then I'll have the 3 images for the 3 cups. So for these, I'll just say image 1 equals image, and I'll set the properties of that image inside the round brackets. So the source, the actual images, need to be cup_guess.png, And after that, as regards the size hint, we need to set these to none and none because we don't want these components to fill out the actual space automatically. As regards keeping the ratio of these images, we'll say true. And as regards allow stretch, we'll say false. We don't want them to be stretched. And as regards the size, we'll make them correspond to the size of the buttons, so they'll be square images, so they'll be 100 pixels by 100 pixels. And as regards the position, because the labels are 50 pixels high, then there'll be 50 pixels above the very bottom of the screen, so it'll be 0 for the far left, and then 50 pixels from the bottom of the screen, like that. So that's image 1. As regards image 2, so this is the same image as image 1, but as regards the actual size, it's the same size. As regards the position, then it'll need to be 100 pixels to the right, so it'll be position will be 100, 50. So that'll be 100 pixels to the right from the far left, and 50 pixels from the bottom of the screen. And for image 3, it'll be the same image, and everything else will be the same except for the position. And once again, it'll be 200 pixels from the far left of the screen. So if I save that like that, or before I save that, I need to add these to the roots as well. So I'll just copy these 3 lines and change them from button to image. I'll just save that and I'll just run the file. Okay, it says unterminated string literal at line 20. So if we go to line 20, so for some reason there's this single quote there, so I'll just delete that, save that, and rerun. So now we have this error message here. So it says that the image 1 is not defined. Okay, so I think the reason is that because these are declared at the class level, then they need to be preceded by the actual reference to the self, like that, rather than leaving them up, because as regards to buttons, they were created, instantiated within the actual function level, but because the images are at the class level, they need to be referred to using the self keyword. So if I just save that and rerun it like that, so now we have these white areas here for the images and the 3 buttons. So I'll now need to copy the actual images to the current directory. So here is the current directory inside the File Explorer. So I'll just copy the 2 images into this directory, and there they are. So now if I go back and rerun the file like that, so now we have the 3 images and we have the 3 buttons. So we just need to add the labels. And so for the labels, because once again we need to access the actual labels from outside the actual functions possibly, then what we can do is we can create them as components at the class level rather than locally inside any particular function. So that's what I'll do. I'll just create the first label here from the label component, and then I'll set the text in the label to be a result. And then once again, the size hint, we need to make sure that it's none none so that it doesn't auto stretch to fill out the screen. The font size will make it 12. As regards position, it'll need to be on the far left of the screen, which is 0, and then we'll say that it needs to be let's say, at the height of 150 pixels from the bottom of the screen, and then the size we'll say is, because we'll have two labels, one for the actual result, whether it's a success or failure, and the other for the score. So it'll just be two labels, and because the window itself is 300 pixels wide, I think I'll make it half the size or half the width of the window, which is 150 pixels wide. And then as regards the actual height, I'll make it 50 pixels, like that. And so that is for the actual display of the result of each game. As regards the second label, this will display the score. So we'll start off with 0. And as regards the position, we'll say that this is halfway through at the center of the screen. It starts off at the center of the screen width-wise, so that's 150 pixels to the right. And so as regards the starting position of its height, so as regards the bottom left corner of this label, it's 150 pixels above the bottom of the screen. And as regards the size, so it's 150 wide and 50 high. And so if we save this now and rerun it like that. Okay, so now we have this error message, and this error message is saying that it passed to int may not be existing property names. So it looks like we're using invalid property names inside the component. So I'll just take a look at the ones we just added for the label. And so as regards size hint, it's size hint and not size hein. And as well as this, we need to add the labels to the widget. And so once again, we can just copy the lines from before for image and just add in lab1 for the first label and lab2 for the second, save it and then rerun it. So now here we have the two labels at the top, the first showing the result word, and then the second showing the score of 0 and the 3 images, and then the 3 buttons for the player to select which cup the ball is in. So I think the next step now is to build in the functionality to handle the logic of the game. So if we think through what will happen in this game, I think first of all we need to decide randomly which of these 3 cups will contain the ball. So we can't display the ball at this stage. We need the player to actually select one of these buttons, cup 1, cup 2 or cup 3. And so once the player has selected the button and clicked on it, then the actual position of the ball will be revealed. And then once that happens, then to start a new game, then the player needs to click on any of these 3 buttons just to reset the 3 cups again, and then to start the new game to guess which one has the ball. So first of all, I think we need to have 2 events. The first event is that it needs to reset the 3 cups, and then the next event is for the player to select the actual cup, and that displays the ball, and then after that it needs to reset back to the original state of the game. So how do we go about doing that? So let's start off with setting the original state of the game. So I think first of all we need to create a function for when the user clicks on the button. So we'll just create the function and call it button click like that, and pass in the self as the parameter like that. And then what we'll say is, because this sets the game, then what we do is that we can set the image of the cup to be the state whereby it's at the start of the game. So for this we'll say that self.img1.source equals cup guess.png like that, and we do that for the 3 images. And we need to have some kind of variable to contain the actual mode of the actual state, and I think this can be a global variable, so we can call it something like mode state equals, and then we'll say that this is to be reset or start. This is the start of the game, so that is at the global level. So in the function we'll need to declare it as global like that, and then after that we can say that if mode state equals start, then we'll need to reset the 3 images so that the ball is not showing. Otherwise, we need to set the ball in one of these images. We'll say that this can be image 2 for the time being. So if the mode state is start, then we need to change that to play, and if the mode state is not start, then we need to change it back to start like that. And then we need to bind this function to the 3 buttons so that when they are clicked, then it'll call on the button click function. So we do that by going to the actual function where these buttons are added in the first place, in the build function, and then when we create these buttons we need to just call the bind function. So it's button1.bind, and we need to say on press is the event. When the button is pressed, then to call the button click function. Like that. And similarly for buttons 2 and 3. So if we save that now and rerun. So now if I click on cup 1, okay, so here we have an error. So it says here that the function button click takes 1 positional argument, but 2 are given. So we just need to add an extra parameter into the declaration of that function. So we can call it something like value. So I think what it does is that it passes itself as the class, but as well as that it passes the actual ID of that particular button, which is what is contained inside that value, like that. So if we just save this again and rerun it like that. So here it is. So if we click on cup 1, and now we have this error message here, mode start. So it says here, did you mean mode state? Yes, I did. So once again, that was my mistake. So I just changed mode start to mode state like that, and save it and rerun it. Once again, I'll click on cup 1. Okay, so one of the cups should have changed to showing the ball. So I think what is happening is that because we start off with the mode state set to start, so when we click on it first time, then it'll set the actual cup guess to the actual images to the cup guess image, which is just a cup without the ball, and it sets the mode state to play. So this should be an equal rather than a double equal like that. So that was the problem there. So I just save that again, and I'll just rerun it. And I'll just click on cup 1, and there it is. So now it's displaying the actual image 2 with the ball in it. So now I need to add in some kind of random function in order to assign that randomly. So for this, I'll need to import the random library like that, and as well as that I can create another global variable, this time an int. So I'll start off with 1, which is called which cup. The variable name is called which cup. And so when we need to set the actual cups or test for the cups as regards which one was the one with the ball in it, then we can just assign a random number between 1 and 3 to which cup. So for that, we can say which cup equals, and then random dot, and then rand int, and then brackets 1, 3, in order to select a number between 1 and 3 inclusively. As regards the test for the mode state, I think that if we wish to reset all the cups so that they are all hiding the ball, then I think as regards this test condition here, this needs to say if mode state equals to play, like that. Then this needs to be set to start, and the start needs to be set to play, like that. And so we'll say that if the ball was inside cup 1, if which cup equals 1, then we need to just reveal the ball inside cup 1, like that. Otherwise, if the ball was inside cup 2, then it needs to be displayed in image 2. Otherwise, then that means that the ball is in cup 3, in which case it needs to be displayed in image 3, like that. So if we now save that and run it, so now if we click on cup 1, so that was wrong, the ball was in cup 2, so we click again to reset, and then we now need to decide which cup the ball is in. So I'll say it's in cup 3, and wrong again, that's in cup 2. So I click on any button again to reset, and now I need to decide which cup the ball is in. I'll say it's in cup 2. Oops, we've got 2 cups there, so that's wrong. So I just need to take a look, and I think the problem was because we left this line in, which sets the image to be the one with the ball each time. So if we just delete that, then that'll fix that problem. And so for the next step, I think we need to start deciding how to accumulate the scores. And so for this, we need to know the actual reference ID of each of these buttons, for example. So we've got these 3 buttons. Button 1 corresponds to image 1, or cup 1, button 2 corresponds to cup 2, and button 3 corresponds to cup 3. So as regards the function where it says button click, then we have this function which randomly decides which cup 1, cup 2, or cup 3 has the ball. So we need to be able to know the actual references to each of these buttons that is clicked. And so what we can do is that the great thing is that we can get the reference easily in the string format inside by just assigning it to the actual string variable. So at the global level, we can declare 3 different strings: cup 1 ref, cup 2 ref, and cup 3 ref. And these are the unique references or IDs for these 3 buttons. And so when these 3 buttons are being created in the build function, we can assign the actual ID to these string variables simply by just assigning the actual objects themselves to the variables, like this. As easy as this. And so when the button is pressed, then inside the actual function that is bound to these three buttons in lines 38, 39 and 40, then it actually passes the references to the actual object itself, which is the value. So when the player has clicked the actual button in order to guess which cup has the ball, which is this part here, the else part, then we can do a test on whether the actual value is the same as the unique reference for that particular button. So if the value equals cup 1 ref, then what we'll do is that we'll set the actual result string, or the result label, to success. So for this we'll say self dot and then lab1 dot text equals success. Otherwise, else, we'll set the actual label to say failure. And so if it's the actual cup 1 that has the ball, then we need to set this to show the ball, and then we'll do the same for the others as well. So if value equals cup 2 ref, then set the label 2 to success. The actual reference of the button that's clicked equals the cup 2 reference, then we can set the label to read success, otherwise set it to failure, and once again for the third button as well, or for the third cup, the cup 3 ref, like that. So we can now save this and then run it. So now if I just guess which one of these three cups has the ball, I'll say it's cup 2 and it says failure. If I reset it, if I check again, it says cup 3 that says failure. So that isn't working. So for this I need to go back and analyze the problem. Okay, so I just realized that I've not declared these global variables as global, so I need to do that first of all, like this. Global cup 1 ref, and then global cup 2 ref, and global cup 3 ref, like that, and save it and rerun. And once again I'll try and guess it's in the second cup, and it says failure, which is correct, and I just click on any button to reset, and I'll just guess it's in the first cup, and that should say success, but once again it says failure. And I think that is because I failed to declare these global variables in the build function as well, so I need to do that as well, like that. Save it and rerun, like that. And so now once again I'll guess that the ball is in cup 3 and it's in cup 1, so that's correct when it says failure, and I'll just click on any button to reset, and I'll now guess it's in cup 2 and that's failure again, which is correct, and I'll just press on any button to reset, and I'll just guess it's in cup 1 and that's success, and there we are. And so I'll just click on any button to reset, and I'll just guess it's in cup 3, that's failure, and I'll just guess it's in cup 1, that's success. So I think that part of guessing which cup it's in is correct. Now we need to just add the scores. So for this I think I'll create another global variable called total score, and I'll initialize that to 0, like that. And so what we can do is that in the function where it says button click, we need to declare it as a global, like that. And then when we have a success, like that one there, we need to just increase it by 1. So total score equals total score plus 1. So that's if it's guessed correctly on cup 1. And we do the same for if it's guessed correctly on cup 2. And once again, if it's guessed correctly on cup 3. And then after this if statement, we just need to update label 2 so that it displays the actual latest score. So lab2 or self.lab2.txt or text equals, and then this needs to be string and total score, like that. So we just save this and rerun. So I'll guess that it's in cup 1, so that's wrong, so 0 scores. So I'll just reset. I'll guess that it's in cup 3, wrong again. Reset. I'll guess that it's in cup 2, wrong again. I'll say that's in cup 2, wrong again. Cup 2, success. So now we have 1 there. Reset. Cup 3, and that's correct. Cup 1, and that's correct. So it now looks to be working fine. So I want to save that score onto file so that when I start the game again next time, it'll pick up from where I left off. So for this, we first of all need to just get the actual score from the file, if it exists already, at the very start of the game. So for example, if we had a previous game and we wish to get the score from the previous game, we need to open the file when we start the game. So for this, we need to just import os.path, like that, os.path. And after that, in the build function, we need to just test if os.path.exists. And the file name is totalscore.txt. So if that exists, then we want to open the file. So fo, which is the file object, equals open, and then totalscore.txt, and then comma, and then in double quotes R for read only, like that. And then we'll need to declare a global, which is the total score variable, like that. And we'll say tscore equals fo.read, which reads the entire contents of that file into the local variable tscore. And we'll say that if tscore equals blank or nothing or empty string, then self.lab2, so lab2 is the label where we keep the scores, equals string total score, and that is initialized to 0, so that will display 0. Otherwise, then we'll say that total score equals int. So we convert from a string to an int using the int function, an int and then tscore, like that. And then once again, we'll say that self.lab2.text equals string total score, like that. So this gets the actual current score from the previous game. And so if we need to write to that file, then we need to go to the button click function, and then each time there is a success and the score is incremented by 1, then we just need to open that file, which is fo equals open. Okay, before I continue, first of all, we just need to make sure to close the previous file open. So we opened this for reading, read only. So we just need to close the file after we've read from it, like that. And so when we open the file now for writing, to write the latest score, then we'll say it's open, and then a file name, and then W for write, and then fo.write, and then string, and then the total score, like that. And then we need to close the file as well, like that. And we can do that the same for the other occurrences, the other cups or images. So now if we just save this file and rerun, like that. So here we have score 0, so I'll just guess it's in cup 1, that's correct. And then cup 3, incorrect. Cup 1, incorrect. Cup 1 again, incorrect. Cup 2, incorrect. Cup 3, incorrect. Cup 1, incorrect. Cup 2, incorrect. Cup 2, incorrect. Cup 2, incorrect. Cup 3, incorrect. Cup 1, incorrect. Cup 2, correct. So we've got 2 there. So I'll just close this game and I'll just rerun it again. And so now we have the 2 as the current score from the previous game, so that has saved it successfully in that file totalscore.txt. So I'll just guess again. Cup 1, incorrect. Cup 2, incorrect. Cup 3, incorrect. Cup 2, incorrect. Cup 3, incorrect. Cup 2, incorrect. Cup 2, correct. So that's now incremented to 3. So I think the next thing now is that we need to just add some sounds to it. And as well as that, I think the code needs some tidying up, because as regards the logic here, I think that is fairly repetitive, and the actual conditions here can be inserted into one function instead of having the actual code being repeated. So I can do that as well. And as well as that, we can try to compile this into windows.exe, as well as that into an Android APK. But I think at this stage, I think the video is long enough. Therefore, we'll continue in the next video. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you found it useful and enjoyable. Until next time, look after yourself and have a nice day.